heading north on Route 7A, and we're making a right on Mad Tom Road. Right there's a little East Dorset village, there's a little post office, there's a church where Bill Wilson went to church. There's the Wilson house right there. On the right, it's an historic building now. I'll take a right and we'll come back the other way. And here's Wilson house. The meeting room was way in the back there. Like I say, this is Mad Tom Road going this way, and then this is Village Street. There's a church he went to church in. And we'll go across the street. And there's a little building for the church. And this here is the Griffith house. That's where his grandmother and grandpa lived, and it's now a library. Yeah, Bill Wilson was born in that house. It was an inn in 1800s. And Bill Wilson lived there with his parents. I guess they ran the inn. Back there is where the meetings are, back of the building. And I guess after they got divorced, I just learned this, they got divorced, I guess he moved. And he moved over here into the Griffith house. Now a library, and that's where his grandmother lived. They got goats and chickens in the back. I don't know who owns that now. But the Wilson house was purchased, it was falling down, and people wanted to buy it for years, but the guy who ran it didn't want to sell it. And then one day this guy came up on his honeymoon. This is the story. His name was Ozzy. Came up on his honeymoon. Him and his wife, they were in New York, and they came over to look at the Wilson house to find it. And they happened to ask the guy who was for sale, and I guess he was in the mood. And he sold it to him. And that place has been restored. I think they started restoring it in '87. And it was all done by volunteers. So it's pretty neat. It's a big place. It's the biggest house in town, really. And East Dorset is a small town. Anyway, there's the church he went to. I did a painting of this church. I sold it. I think I'll do another one. It had nothing to do with the Wilson house. I just painted it as a church or a holiday scene. It's the East Dorset Congregational Church. That's where Bill went to church. Oh, and in this story, he mentions about, I think I mentioned before, out this mountain. He looked at this mountain when he was like 4 years old, Mount Oleus, and how big he thought it was. And really, by today's standards, I mean, he was only 4 years old. He hadn't been out of his town, I guess. It really is not that big. Although I walked that mountain about 6 or 7 years ago. Let me tell you, it's a haul. I mentioned before that the bat caves up there in New England, and that was a bat disease, white mouse disease, which is killing all the bats. Started in New York State, came over to here, to Vermont, then it went to New Hampshire, then down south, and now it's down south as far as Virginia. And that's a real problem, because we've had bugs all over the place this year that we never had before. And the bats take care of the bugs. So that's going to be a pretty big environmental problem if we don't save these bats. Anyway, let me take a walk on from the house. It's probably best doing it across the street. Thank God nobody's sitting on the porch. I don't want to blow anybody in and me. That's a sign. Let's see it. Birthplace of William Griffith Wilson. Yeah, Griffith was he was born in 1895 and died in 1971. Founder of Alcoholics. He was a co-founder with Dr. Bob. And he found the only way he could stay sober was by helping Dr. Bob, and by helping each other they stayed sober. And that's basically the simple premise that Alcoholics Anonymous is based on, is helping another person. You get out of yourself and you stay sober. There's another story years ago when they first started. They wanted to borrow some money, and they approached the Rockefellers, and the Rockefellers looked it over and said no way would they give them money, because they never saw an organization that ran like this, and to loan them money would corrupt it. Because Alcoholics Anonymous is self-supporting to its own contributions, and there's no rules, regulations, and there are no leaders. Usually you get voted into the leader of the group and treasurer every 3 months. Every 3 months they're voted out and somebody else is new, and so nobody really controls AA. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I we'll go by and show you where Bill is buried. Like I said, this is probably 3/4 of a mile from my house. And it's neat because they restored this whole building with volunteers. Most of them volunteers from AA. But Bill Wilson was supposedly born in the back room where the meeting is now, meeting room. He was born behind a bar. If that isn't something, he became an alcoholic and founder of AA. He was born behind a bar. I guess that's about it for this, isn't it? Oh, with this group, you go to these meetings. It's amazing. You go to Sunday meeting. There's people from all over the world come here. You don't have to be in AA to stay here. It's not really AA owned, but it is. Just was made an historical building, so it's on the historical register, so it'll be protected. But it's really not AA. There's AA meetings, but it's not owned by AA. AA doesn't own anything. So you can come here. You don't have to be in AA. You can stay here. It's a beautiful place to stay. There's a church. It's a beautiful church. That's the meeting house, and that's the Griffith house. Bill Wilson's grandparents, where he stayed when he moved back here after his parents got divorced. Beautiful day today. Beautiful day. Next week's the peak of the foliage, Columbus Day weekend. I mean, next week is Columbus Day weekend. You can tell you're near AA because at the top of the cars, there's Mountain Dew cans. That little post office was restored about 5 years ago. To mention this, the little post office. This is the railroad tracks. I think in the story, one of Bill Wilson's stories, where he took the railroad to school every day, took the train, and the train runs right through my property. Actually, I own part of the property on both sides of the railroad. There's property back. I just want to show you the mountains. That's the Green Mountains of Vermont. And the peak, like I said, will be next week. And behind us, that's Mount Willis, but behind there is kind of like over that way is the Teutonic Range, and that's over in New York. And from here, from my property, behind my property, coming across is a big bear trail. They travel from the Green Mountains to the Teutonic Range in New York. Anyway, let's go up to see Bill's burial. Normally you would come in the cemetery and then make a right, because you can drive in here and come around, park back there. Actually, park right behind Bill and Lois's headstone. Anyway, there's Bill Wilson's headstone. William Wilson, 1895 to 1971. People leave coins, anniversary coins. Winston Racing Nation, there's coins in there. 1 year sobriety, 10-year sobriety. One day at a time, they leave their cards. And Lois, her too, she's a co-founder of Al-Anon. And Al-Anon is, anybody's got a problem with drinking, or you have a loved one that has a problem with drinking, you don't know what to do, go to Al-Anon. My ex-wife ended up going to Al-Anon. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have come into AA. I got 30-something years sobriety now, one day at a time. And when I came in, I had 6 months to live with cirrhosis of the liver, so miracles do happen. So thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. To the end of our foliage. I finished this video 2 weeks after I started. And that's it. It has peaked. The leaves are about gone. Winter's on its way. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you have any questions or any comments, please make them on the video, or you can email me. I just want to show you this one thing. This fella, he sells AA related paintings on eBay. His name is Parker, and he gave me permission to put in the credits I'll have his blog address, but he goes under Sober Dad, S-O-B-E-R-D-A-D, on eBay. Just look about. He has some cool paintings about AA meetings and related stuff. I'm just going to show you a couple I bought. Bought these a couple years ago. This is Take a Friend to a Meeting, AA Fellowship. And there's all different characters in there. It's pretty cool paintings he does, and you get to know the different characters after a while. And here's another one. It's about a restaurant and the 4th of July. And here's the people again. It's about AA meetings and stuff. But he's got some cool art. I do some alcoholic paintings and drunks, but I also do a lot of other folk art. He basically mainly does AA stuff, and it's pretty interesting. Peace, everybody. Thank you for watching.